numbers, but basically I just really like these notes better than the ones I used to have for college prep. So this is what we're going to use. So yours should go like left, right, left, right, left, right. All right. So two special types of quadrilaterals that are not parallelogram are kites and trapezoids. Kites and trapezoids. The reason they're not parallelograms is because they don't have opposite sides parallel. Kites have no parallels. Trapezoids have one set of parallel. Okay? Did I put this on your desk? Maybe not. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of opposite sides parallel. The sides that are parallel are called bases. So it doesn't matter which way it's sitting, on the top or the bottom. But the sides that are parallel are called bases. The non-parallel sides are called legs. So these are your bases. And these are your legs. The angles at each end of a base are called base angles. So your parallel sides are called bases.
Does that mean that all angles are base angles?
Yes, but like in a minute we're going to talk about what angles go together. So like this is one set of base angles. And then this is another set of base angles. Okay?
Can you scroll up so I can see this first?
Kites and trapezoids. A mid-segment of a trapezoid is the segment joining the two midpoints of the two legs. So these are marked this way because this is a midpoint and this is a midpoint. So this guy right here is your mid segment. The mid segment of a trapezoid is parallel to the bases. And the length of the mid segment is equal to, I'm going to use the letters. So it's basically the average of the two bases. So to find the mid segment, you're going to do half of AB plus ED. So it's basically the average of the two bases. You add the top base and the bottom base and you divide by 2. An isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid that has congruent legs. So it's not all trapezoids have legs that are congruent. If the legs of a trapezoid are congruent, then it's an isosceles trapezoid. In an isosceles trapezoid, the base angles that share a common base are congruent. So that means these angles are equal, and that means these angles are equal in an isosceles trapezoid. For any trapezoid, the angles that share a common leg are supplementary. So these added together equal 180, and these added together equal 180. That's on any trapezoid. But only isosceles trapezoid base angles are congruent.
Is it still an opposite angles equal 180?
No. The diagonals of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. The diagonals of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. So if you go back to this picture right here, okay? If it's isosceles, these angles are equal, and these angles are equal, and AC would be congruent to BD. So in an isosceles trapezoid, if I drew the diagonals, they would be congruent. Find the value of x, y, and z in this isosceles trapezoid. Okay, so let's do x first. X is dealing with the mid-segment. So to find the mid-segment, you add the two bases together. So 4x plus 16 plus 8x plus 31 divided by 2 equals your mid-segment. So to get your mid-segment, you add the bases together and divide by 2. It's the average. Okay, solve that for me. Okay, we have an answer for x. What do we get?
1.25.
I've heard 1.25. Agree or disagree? Are we agreeing because we haven't worked it, or are we agreeing because that's what we got? Because that's what we got? Okay. What about the value of y? This is an isosceles trapezoid.
43.
It'll be 43. Okay. How would I get z?
43. Is it 180
180 minus 43, which is
37?
137. All right, let's go to this next shape, which is a kite. So a kite is a quadrilateral with two pairs of congruent sides and non-parallel opposite sides. So you're going to have two pairs of congruent sides and non-parallel opposite sides. Your congruent sides are going to be consecutive congruent. And when you see a kite, you should see two short and two long. Okay, when you look at a kite, you should have two short sides and two long sides. The diagonals of a kite are perpendicular. The diagonals of a kite are perpendicular. Okay, so when I look at this kite, I should know that this is a right angle. So what am I going to do to get that little 2 mark guy? Pythagorean theorem. So 18 squared plus 13.5 squared, I'm going to call this x and I'm going to call this y equals x squared. How am I going to get y? Same concept, so we're going to do 32.4 squared plus 13.5 squared equals y squared. All right, ladies, y'all do x, and gentlemen, y'all do y. Okay, what do we get for x? I hear 22.5. I like it. Okay, what about for y? 35.1. So what do we do to get the perimeter? Add them all up. So we need 2 of these plus 2 of these. And what do we get? 115.2. Once you write that down, I want you to go back to the picture of the kite, the very first picture of the kite, where it says a kite is a quadrilateral with two pairs of. Go back to this picture right here. All right, we put this in our other notes, but I want to have it here too. So I want you to draw your diagonals. All right. The diagonals of a kite are perpendiculars. Put you a right angle in there. The short diagonal is cut in half. So this is going to be 3 marks. The long diagonal is not. So the short diagonal is cut in half. And then I'm going to label this A, B, C, D. Angle A is congruent to angle C. The short diagonal, those angles that it goes to are cut in half. Are congruent. Angle B and angle D are bisected. So these angles are cut in half, while these angles are congruent. So the short diagonal has angles that are congruent. The long diagonal has angles that are bisected. And how many degrees total is that kite going to have?
360.
360. Okay. On your packet right here, the one that we were talking about earlier today, I would like for you, so I won't see you again until Thursday, is that correct?
Wait,
Tomorrow's ACT?
do we skip the B-Day?
No.
The-
I'll see you Thursday. So by Thursday, so that gives you Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night.